Good evening, guys. Is my audio clear for everyone? So, if you have any concerns in my audio, you can ping in the chat. So, let's get some acknowledgement from chat. Is my audio fine? Super. Cool. So, good evening. Before we get started, I would like to give you a quick heads up. Okay, so if you are passionate about cybersecurity, programming, or just love being part of a tech-driven community, so we would love to invite you to our Discord server. So that's where we continue this, learning curve. So together, we would want to learn more further, and we would want to build a strong technical community, more concentrated in cybersecurity. So that is what the core initiative is. Okay, so that is why we have been planning to take monthly sessions. So in last year we were taking sessions in Tamil language itself because it was more regional. But this year we have took initiative to deliver the content in English because it will enlarge the community size and it will bring more like-minded people so that people can learn with many other ideas. So that is what the idea is. So that's why we are taking it in English this time. If you haven't not joined the Discord server, so kindly join in the server now. And so that is where we continue the conversation. So beyond these sessions, we are planning to share resources, and if you have any technical questions or any other questions related to cybersecurity, we are open to answer your questions. And so the motto is to help each other grow and get guidance with your peers or experts. So that is what this community is about. And speaking about today's session, we're going to uh, you know dredge into GraphQL. So, how many of you know about GraphQL? So, if you don't know anything about GraphQL, it's fine. So we are going to learn it from scratch, and we are going to learn many attack vectors for GraphQL based scenarios. So we have Josan here. So Josan George from our team will be delivering this session. So who's going to break it down step by step, share real world use cases, and make sure you walk away with both clarity and practical knowledge. So let's welcome Josan. Josan George. So you're going to take over the session now. All the best.
Yeah. Hi guys. So my name is Josan George. I'm certified in PNPT, CRTP, and CNPEN, and currently working as a security coordinator at Zoho in Aratai. In today's session, let me share my screen first.
Screen is visible.
Yeah, great. Yeah, in today's session, we'll be diving into the exciting topic called GraphQL pen testing. This is very relevant and subject to the modern applications because they are shifting from the REST-based APIs to GraphQL because GraphQL is powerful and flexible. But this opens up a lot of security issues as we'll be discussing in the upcoming slides. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it. GraphQL was developed by Facebook in around 2012. Unlike REST-based APIs, where we get multiple endpoints for different kind of operations to perform, in GraphQL there's only single endpoint. It acts as both query language for APIs and a runtime for execution those queries. What's the main benefit? Clients can exactly fetch the data that they need, nothing more, nothing less. This helps us to avoid overfetching and underfetching. The common problems in REST-based APIs was overfetching and underfetching. This was resolved by GraphQL. That's why GraphQL gained popularity. But what's the main issue? With great power comes great complexity. While it's more flexible, it's also hardest to secure and validate. And that's where pen testers like us come into play. So there are a few main concepts. That's schema that defines the structure of the data available, then the queries. These are the queries that the client requests for a specific data. Then we have query parser. The query parser passes incoming queries against the schema. Then we have the resolvers. These are functions that fetch and return the requested data. Then here comes information disclosure. So the first one, when we come across a target, we need to gain a lot of information about the target before we are going to test the applications. So first of all, we need to identify the GraphQL engine while pen testing a GraphQL endpoint. So the first tool is GraphQL. GraphQL is a tool which will send various GraphQL queries against the target, including malformed queries. It will try to identify the GraphQL engine used by the target by observing the backend response and error messages. So we can simply run this using this below command python 3 main.py and dash d to run it in the detect mode, dash f for the fingerprint mode, and hyphen t to specify the target of our GraphQL application. So here I have already cloned the repo GraphQL and I have spawned a Docker damn vulnerable GraphQL application. It's just like DVWA. It's a GraphQL web application which is a damn vulnerable one. So we can use the same command and we are going to specify the target of the GraphQL application. Yeah. So this displays a lot of information about the target, and the main one is the GraphQL engine. It identifies the GraphQL engine as graphene, and it also gives us the direct URL of the attack surface matrix or the GraphQL threat matrix. If we go into the threat matrix, let me copy this URL. I've already pasted it. So it gives you a lot of information about the target GraphQL engine. The main thing to look about is the security considerations over here. It tells us what and all the graphing is enabled by default. The main thing is introspection. We'll be looking into it in the next slides. This is enabled by default, and field suggestions are also enabled by default. By this, by this GraphQL threat matrix, we'll be able to identify and gather more information about our target's GraphQL engine. Now comes introspection. What is introspection? Introspection basically gives the structure of the backend system. It allows clients to discover the schema, including types, queries, and mutations. What is the main reason to have such a functionality? It is useful for the developers to debug and to develop the tool. So, how can us as penetration testers use this feature to attack the target further? So let's get into my worksuite. Going to the proxy, as I have already captured the DVGA request over here. Let me just refresh the page. This is the DVGA web application. DVGA, as I already mentioned, damn vulnerable GraphQL application. There are two types of level here. One is the beginner one and the expert one. We'll be showing some differences over here. Before that, let's browse something. Let's go to the private page. If you look here, we'll be able to see the GraphQL endpoint. Let me send this to repeat. So what it does, it queries the base with the argument public and the value false. Then it's having some fields over here: ID, title, content, IP address, and it's also referencing to another query or another object called owner, and it's retrieving the field from the query, which is name. So this is a basic GraphQL structure. And now what we are going to do is we are going to right click on the request, and in worksheet you'll be able to find a GraphQL option, and if you hover over that, you will be able to find the option set introspection query. If you click on that, it will automatically provide you with the introspection query. All you have to do is send the request. Yeah, we have got the response of the introspection query, and this is too much. We won't be able to read it in the plain eye. It's very difficult. So that uh, we can see how we are going to present this in a visually representative manner, so that we can be easily debug and attack it. So basically, this is introspection query. It just dumps all the schema information or the backend GraphQL structure of the target. If we go back to the slides, so what are the risks involved here? It reveals the API structure, including the types, fields, and queries. So, as attackers, we can identify potential vulnerabilities, authorization bypasses, and hidden fields, hidden endpoints. And it also helps us to craft the malicious query much easier. Moving on, these two tools are very much important to analyze the introspection query. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy the whole query from here. And the first one is GraphQL Voyager. What's a GraphQL Voyager? GraphQL Voyager, it's a graphical representation of introspection. We can just copy the response of the introspection query and paste it here, and we will be getting a neat visual representation of the GraphQL structure. I have already opened my GraphQL Voyager, and this is running in a public website. But in real world scenarios, since you'll be attacking over a private target, maybe the information may be private, you must not use these kind of public websites. You need to host it in your local machine and use your GraphQL Voyager, and there's a GitHub repository for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the change schema. I'm going to click on the introspection, and I'm going to paste the whole introspection query here. But note, I have also copied the response header details. I'm going to delete that because we don't need that. Now I'm going to click on display. This will show us a neat diagram of the backend schema or the GraphQL schema. There's a query object, there's audit object, user object, paste object, owner object. And if we click on one thing, we can see what and all the query can be used here, and we can also look into the field values, what and all it requires, and stuff like that. So this is very useful. So this is GraphQL Voyager. The next one is InQL. InQL, it's a burp suite extension. Let me show you. All you have to do is go to extension in your burp suite and sorry, you can go to burp the App Store and search your InQL from here and click on install. But since I've already installed, let me go to the InQL here. Okay, what it requires? It requires the URL of the GraphQL endpoint. We already have the URL of the GraphQL endpoint, so I'm just copying this and I'm going to paste it here. And we know the GraphQL endpoint, which is GraphQL. And I'm hitting on Analyze. Yeah, so it provides me with all the queries, all the mutations, point of interest, cycle detections, etc. So if we can just click on any interested queries like for me, system health, system update, users, as you can see there's username, password over here. We can maybe try to retrieve someone's username or password. There are mutations, we can create a user. Let's assume in this here it's only ID, password, username. Maybe in some application you'll also find a role field over here. So in scenarios like that, you can use mutations to create and specify the role if there's any kind of functionality like that. Then in the point of interest, it shows what and all is interesting in the target application. The first one is authentication, which is password, and we are getting a password in the user query, and we are getting access token when we try to log in, as well as we are getting a refresh token when we are trying to log in. So again, there are two tools that I showed you. One is GraphQL Voyager, and another one is this Burp Suite extension in QL. You can use whatever is convenient for you guys to analyze the target. So moving on, authentication and access control. So the first one we are going to look into is batching. So what is batching? Batching in GraphQL lets us send multiple queries in a single request. This feature is very useful, but it can be abused by attackers. Like they can bypass the rate limiting. They can use it for brute force, or even they can bypass web application firewalls. So let me just show you one example. This is my blog page. I'll be sharing this link after the meeting. So let me show you with the. So I have prepared a query. Like let me send a request, a single query first time, one time. Now what we're going to do is we are going to log in as user Josan and as password something. Let me try the request. Or we can easily send it from the MQL as well. Uh, yeah, there you go. Login. Let me send it to repeater. As you can see, this is a mutations. I'll maybe I can show you the mutations first and come back to the authentication and access control for better understanding. Okay. So, what are mutations? Mutations provides us a way to modify data, just like the REST API does. REST API is used to perform the CRUD operations. We have already discussed the read operations in GraphQL, and using mutations, you'll be able to perform the update, delete, and create in GraphQL. So what are mutations? As I told you, it's used to create new objects, update existing objects, and delete existing objects. And we can also use a query to retrieve all the mutations present. This gives us all types of mutations. We have create paste over here, edit paste, we have upload paste, file name, and one of the important thing is we have create user in order to create a user. Then we have login, and let's try to create a user now, just for the uh, explanation. There's a mutation called create user. I'm sending it to repeater. Let's specify the username. I think you need a yeah, you need a curly braces over here. Okay, if we look into the error message, it's saying that it's having invalid value present, and it also needs a field. Expected field is email. So also we'll add the email field over here. Yeah. So if we look here carefully, we are using a mutations called create user. It uses our data and it creates the account for us or user for us. So notice the username that I have set, which is Josan123, and the password, which is Josan123. So this is mutations. We can use uh, the InQL and the GraphQL Voyager, and sometimes you can also use all the AI tools to create a proper query to send it as your request. Sometimes it might cause you syntax errors. So, but in our case, we are able to create the user properly. Going back to the batching, so yeah, going back to the batching, there's a mutation called login, which passes a query along with the arguments Josan, along with the arguments username and password, and it gives us the access token and refresh token if our authentication is successful. But it's a failure because I have provided a false password or invalid password. So now there's an option to send multiple queries in a single request. For that, all we have to do is pass in a list with the queries. So this is the query one, and I'm gonna specify another query. If you look here, it gives me two authentication failure, meaning it processes both the queries in a single request. It's processing the first query, which was this, and it's also processing the second query, which is this. And we can use it to brute force. Let's say the application is having some rate limiting, maybe 100 requests. You can use this functionality to brute force and to bypass the rate limiting like this. If I send the 5 queries, I'm getting 5 authentication failures. We can craft a particular word list so that and attack the target using this feature. Let's say I am going to intruder. I'm going to intruder and I can select the. I'm going to change to pitchfork and I want to select the password as the placeholder. And what this pitchfork attack does is throws the word list in a single request. So let's say there's a word list of uh, 5 values. It passes all the values in this placeholder. We can create like 100 word list with different types of combinations, and use the pitchfork attack and include the payloads here. In this, we can select multiple payload set. In the first set, I'm maybe loading the first word list, then the second word list, and it performs all the operations in a single from the word list in a single request. Let's say there's JSON 1, JSON 2, JSON 3, JSON 4, JSON 5 in a word list, and if I select that word list, it's going to run. It's going to replace the value here. So like that, we'll be able to bypass the rate limiting. Maybe let's say there's 100 limit for an API set. We can use this method like pass in 10 queries in a single request, which is 10 into 100. comes to 1,000 requests. So this can be used to bypass all the security mechanism that's kept for rate limiting. So let's for the proof of concept, let's input actual password here, which was Josan123, and the username was Josan123. If we scroll down, we'll be able to see the access token and the refresh token in the response. And all the other queries gives us the error message authentication failure. So this is how batching works, and this is how we can leverage this batching functionality to our own good. And instead of all those struggles, and there's a tool called GraphQL, uh, which GraphQL. So this is a GraphQL password brute force tool and fuzzing tool. By this you can brute force your password and automate all your stuffs using this tool. So you can also try this password spraying here, two-factor authentication, OTP bypass here, user account enumeration, all these things. This thing uses the concept that I explained you, which is batching, which allows us to bypass all the rate limiting and all. So moving on. So apart from these kind of authentication issues, we also need to look for access control vulnerabilities. In GraphQL web applications, we need to always check for IDOS, which is insecure direct object references. We need to check for horizontal and vertical privilege escalations. And we also need to check for missing functional level authorizations. So it all comes with the concept. All your attacks that we perform in a regular web application can be used to perform in GraphQL, like IDOS and SSRF, SQL injection, all the stuff. Only thing is the technology is different. So let's look into another attack, which is denial of service. So the main issue in GraphQL is we are giving too much power to the client. So the client user can query whatever they want. So let's say a client is performing, trying, found a way to retrieve a lot of information through a looped or recursive query. So this can cause the server load to spike and hence cause a denial of service. So let's look into it in a demonstration. I am already lacking a lot of resource. This might even cause denial of service for my laptop itself. But I'm just going to show you what it looks like. So this is a query that I generated previously. When I ran this, it crashed my DVGA application. But here I'm just going to explain what it does. So, as we previously discussed, there's a query that fetches the pace, and from the pace we get ID, title, content, and we also have the owner. And this is another object. This is another query, and it gets the field name from the query owner. Let me show you the chart here, the flow chart here. So this is the query paste. It retrieves from the paste objects and it's having an owner which references to another object called owner. And from owner, you can reference back to the paste. So if you look carefully over here, it actually makes a loop. From paste object, it goes to the owner object, and from the owner object, it comes to the paste object. it is making a circular loop. By this functionality, you can actually cause a denial of service. Let me explain. So from paste object, you are going to call the owner object, and from the owner object, you're going to call the paste object, and you're going to do as much as you can. And this will result in a denial of service if there's no restrictions in the backend. So that's what I have done here. I have called the paste, and the paste calls the owner, and from the owner I'm calling the paste again, and from the paste I'm calling the owner again, and it goes on, it goes on, it goes on. So this will cause a denial of service in the backend, and for for now I'm not going to try this because I'm already lacking a lot of resources in my laptop. So I'm going to skip this part, and there's a simple tool to identify these kind of looping structures, and there's also a few other denial of service types which you can check in my blog. And there's batching attack, and there's field duplication, like you can duplicate the same field again and again. Let's say it's refreshing it, it's giving me a refresh token, and in this case it's returning only one refresh token, but in certain scenarios it might give you a lot of refresh tokens in the response. So this is field duplication attacks, and there are several other attacks as well. You can check out my blog. And one more important bypass and the functionality that I want to show you guys is the let me just pull out an object. Yeah. So if you look carefully, the field actually I'm querying is IP address. But if you look into the response, it's giving me IP. This is called aliases. You are giving another name for a field that is going to return in the response. Let's say that's a backend validation, like don't give any response where the response contains password, where the response field name contains password. You can simply replace it by using aliases like P or secret password. This will return the password in the secret field instead of the password field. So this is a one tip to bypass all the backend backend validation against these kind of attacks. So moving on, we were talking about the denial of service. There's a tool called GraphQL cop, which allows us to determine different kinds of possible denial of services against the target. So now I'm going to run this command against my target. I have already cloned the repository in my laptop, and I'm running the command. It's giving me some error over here. Does not seem running. Let me check. Okay, sorry, I actually gave a wrong port over here. Let me change the port, and I'm going to specify the endpoint, which is GraphQL. So now it gives us all the different types of attack possible against the target, and most probably it gives us all the types of denial of service that can be performed against the target. Alias is overloading, which I already specified. Array-based query batching, which is allowed in this target. Then we have directive overloading. Then we have field duplications. Then field suggestion, which leaks the field. Like for example, let's say I don't know that there's a field called user agent in this query. Let me just enter user here. User age. Yeah. If you look here, I am specifying somewhat a close call to the field name, the exact field name, which is user agent, and the error message discloses the actual field name. By this, we can fuzz the application if introspection is disabled. We are going to get into the introspection disabled topic in a few minutes. Before that, let's complete this. Yeah, and it also gives us the introspection query is enabled, and introspection circular based query, which can cause a denial of service, and there's a possible CSRF attack. All these. So this is the tool GraphQL cop, which is used as a security audit against the target. Then we have already discussed about mutations. Then we have injections, CSRF, and other attacks. Before going to injections, CSRF, and other attacks, I want to show you another tool which can be used if the introspection is disabled. I'm going back to the target and I'm setting the level to expert. And I'm going to work suite. Now, what we usually does, a noob hacker goes here, GraphQL set introspection query, send the request, you'll get all the introspection response. But no, since the introspection is disabled, you won't be able to find any API structure against the target. Let's confirm this again by running the GraphQL cop, as it gives us whether the introspection is enabled or not. If you see here, it's not giving us the error or the message saying that introspection is enabled because the introspection is actually disabled. So what we are going to do is there no other way to come across this. First of all, I'll show you certain methodology if the introspection is disabled. I'll go to my blog here. So introspection is disabled. So now what? There are certain types where we can fuzz the application. I have provided you with the word list. If we go into the word list, this is a word list by Escape Technologies, and it's having all the necessary word list for GraphQL pen testing. And in this word list, they have quite a lot of type specified for the GraphQL pen testing. What we can do is we can just copy the query, come to a verb. Let's say it's returning none. Let's say we are returning user, nothing. Maybe user object. Maybe user with a capital U. Now it displays all the field names of the object user object. So we can set a placeholder here, send to intruder, and maybe create a custom word list or use the existing word list of Escape Technologies or any other similar word list that you find to brute force and fuss against the target, which might give you certain partial output of the API schema structure. So this is one way to identify, and again you can use the field name fuzzing that I already uh, discussed. Let's say I don't know this field name called user age, I don't know something called IP, I don't know something called user or name. I'm sending all these kind of field and gives us, okay, this, there's some syntax, okay, equally specifying equally. Yeah, it gives me that are you specifying user agent? It gives me one of the field name, and if we go down, there's no such field called IP. Do you mean ID? And there's no field called user. We can delete the user field, and there's no field called name. So using this, you can also enumerate some field names, maybe which is hidden from us, like again send this request to repeater, uh, have a lot of bunch of word list, word specify keywords, and we can brute force against the target. So this is one way, and again, this fuzzing matters. We can use it to fuzz the application. And there's another tool and or utility which we can use, which is called clairvoyance. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. We can simply use the clairvoyance against the target, and it tries to fuzz the application and gives and tries to gives us the API structure. It might not give all the possible endpoints or all the possible queries, but it tries to fuzz the application. So let's try to fuzz our application in our case. So I'm using this against the target. So it tries to fuzz the application. I'm temporarily killing this because it's consuming a lot of time and resources of my uh, laptop. For now, let's analyze this. It almost gives us all the possible structure of the schema, which is the introspection. We can now go to the GraphQL Voyager again. Inspection. So as you can see, we are able to get the uh, GraphQL API schema or the GraphQL API structure using this tool called clairvoyance. Hope again in pronouncing it properly. So using this tool, we can clairvoyance, yeah. Using this tool, we can fuzz the application and retrieve the schema, even though the introspection is disabled. So this is one of the tools that comes in handy in a lot of the scenarios. And moving on, we are coming to the end of the session. So as discussed, there are several other attacks that can be performed against the GraphQL. So we need to pay attention to the variables. If you check your request, sometimes you might find some variables in the below section. You need to try to inject in the variables. Try to see if any input is getting reflected. We need to try for XSS, SSTI, CSRF, SSRF, all those things. Then we should also investigate different GraphQL arguments for potential excesses. So in terms of CSR, there's a certain different way to perform the attack. I'm just going to walk you through my write-up because I think we are running out of time. So other attacks, I have specified the CSRF here. Let's assume there's no such functionality in the DBGA application, but let's assume there's a functionality to change email and it passes the argument uh, the email which is Josan something at gmail.com, and this is the query and it gives us the field username. So in random request like this, the content type here is JSON. So we won't be able to generate a CSRF POC, which will cause the application or the attack to break. In order to the CSRF to work, we need to send the request as x www form URL encoded. So we can simply this change request method. Again, change the request method. It will automatically become the application www form URL encoded. And here below, you can specify the body query, and along with the query, you can construct the query from here. Let me just copy this. If you are finding it difficult to convert the JSON body to post body in a URL form encoded form, you can use a ChatGPT instead. So in our case, we are able to send this request if we use the URL decoded, and we can verify here whether the our query is properly constructed. Mutation, change query, email. We are sending it as we are changing the email. Now all we have to do is right click. We can go to engagement tools and generate the CSRF POC and send this to our target. So this is how CSRF exploitation works in GraphQL. The main thing is we need to change the content type and our body to the relevant XWWW form URL encoded type. So I have only taken the CSRF since we are lacking time, and the other type of injection attacks and other attacks are the same, and only the CSRF is having a slight change. So I have demonstrated that as well. Coming to the final slide, we are having the tools and resources. Also, I will be sharing my blog as well to so that you can further look into the blog and check out any more resources from there. Yeah. That's it from my side. If you guys found this session helpful, please follow our community. And if you guys anyone have any doubts or suggestions regarding the session, please share. That's it from my side.
Guys, if you have any questions to ask, you can unmute yourself and you can ask them the question.
What are some of the burp extensions which you use?
So again, as I discussed, the most that I used is InQL. In terms of GraphQL, you are asking, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, the InQL is the most prominent one, and there's another extension uh, which is available in the pro version of the Burp Suite. I'll share my screen. If I come to extension and if I search for GraphQL, you'll be able to find GraphQL Radar. This is used to automate most of the process that we have discussed, and it is also used to scan. But it is a pro extension, meaning that you can install this extension only if you're having Berkshire Professional
Professional
version.
version. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, got.
yeah,
And like if I have to practice regarding this, are there some of the labs which I can use for practicing?
yeah. Of course, the main and the most promising one is damn vulnerable GraphQL web application. You can host it in your laptop or system, and you can try that. And of course, you
Got.
can try it from Try Hack Me, Hack the Box, and the famous Sports Figure Web Academy, which provides you all the free resources.
Okay, got.
Yeah, the Sports Figure Web Academy is having a separate pathway for GraphQL attacking itself.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, someone I can see someone is raising their hands. They can unmute and ask if they are having any query.
Prashant, your audio is not audible. If you have trouble in your audio, you can raise your question through chat.
How do we handle sensitive fields, PII redaction, separate endpoints, or field level checks? Yeah, we need to validate based on the authorization whether the user is having the right authorization for the data. Also, we need to have a whitelist what kind of fields they are allowed to use or what kind of query they are allowed to send, and that we need to ensure there's no field duplication so that we need to address that one particular field or parameter is sent only one time, and we need to disable all the excess information like error message or field suggestions, and we also need to disable the introspection. Hello, Josan. Which would provide a stronger advantage in getting hired in cybersecurity, winning a CTF competition, or completion certifications such as CJPT, CHCP, or CRTP because you did both. I would say performing and having a stronger knowledge over CTF and practical knowledge through bug bounty will give you an upper hand than the certifications because you are already in the field. If you are having enough bug bounties in your hand, and if you there are several CTF that will provide you opportunities in the companies as well. There are several hiring CTFs going on, and if you're managed to win or maybe come in the finalist, you'll be provided the opportunity to get into the companies. Can you also include the mitigation techniques for your vulnerabilities in your blog and also a couple of real world blogs for the reference? Of course, I will update my blog page within today and I will add the mitigations and real world scenarios as well.
Okay, those resources will be shared in our Discord channel too. So if you are in need of resources, you can keep an eye on our Discord channel. So he will be sharing the resources there as well.
Any more doubts? Considering the time you have spent on Hack the Box, Try Hack Me, and Postfigure, which platform would you recommend to a beginner? There's no recommendation in terms of platform because all the three platforms gives you a different kind of knowledge. If you are coming into the web application, Postfigure is the way to go. And if you're going to just a beginner friendly cybersecurity, you're just entering into the field, then try hack me is the way to go. And also, if you want to learn in-depth concepts, you can go for Hack the Box. And Hack the Box, you won't be finding a lot of free resources, but in Try Hack Me, you'll be able to find a lot of free rooms. And Postfigure, almost everything is free. They are providing all the web application resources for free. So I would say Postfigure is the way to start if you're starting in as a fresher in terms of web application pen testing.
Okay, Jason, I think it's enough because we have consumed a lot of time. So, guys, if you have any question, you can shoot your questions in our Discord channel. So, we are more than happy to answer your questions. And thank you, Josan, for taking special session with Schemas and Jason. So, that brings us to the end of today's session on GraphQL. So a huge thank you to our host Josan for breaking it down so clearly, and of course, thank you to all of your audience, engaging audience. And this is not the end of the conversation. So we would love you to join our Discord community where you can share your feedback about today's session, or if you need any specific topic to be taken, so you can request a topic as well for our future session and you can connect with us, so connect with other interested people from cybersecurity background or programming background. So also don't forget us to follow in Instagram and in our YouTube. So if you have not came across our YouTube and Instagram, so kindly look into our channel and our page so that you may get in touch with latest updates from our team. So we'll be back with next technical session in November month. So I hope you like this session, guys. So if you have any other positive feedback or any other concerns, so let us know through our Discord channel. Okay. So thank you.